What's going on, Port fans? Welcome back to another video on my channel. And today we'll be reviewing Port Adelaide's first round clash against the Fremantle Dockers in what was an epic first game at the Adelaide Oval. So let's get straight into it and have a look how Port went. As usual, we always start off with the positives of the game, and I tell you what, there was so many to look into. It was too much to write on one piece of paper. It was just an exceptional day for Port Adelaide in what was a very hot, very hot day. I will give you that. At times we did look a bit lethargic at the end of each quarter, but that was to be expected, especially playing 4 quarters in 30+ degree heat. It didn't let off either. Throughout the whole day it was just real hot kind of weather. You just couldn't get a grip of the game, and then at stages we were just phenomenal. We were slick off the ball, slick in the contest, slick changing from one end to the other. Our transition footy was fantastic, and it was just great to see us playing that clean footy again. So, how did we look? The new recruits, they were fired. They were fantastic yesterday in the midfield and across the forward line as well. Tom Rockcliffe was probably the most quiet out of the two, but that was to be expected, I think, just with his fitness levels and probably being a little bit fatigued early on in the game. It was quite hot, and especially from him having no game time in the pre-season, he did quite well considering the circumstances he was under. Best of all of them was Stephen Motlop, I thought. His 2 great running goals and his 19 possessions, just phenomenal across the half-forward line and going into the midfield. His running carry from back to the front was just awesome to watch, and that's what we want from him every single week. So let's hope he pulls through and does consistently. Jack Watts, on the other hand, wow, what a debut. 20 possessions, 3 goals. He was just phenomenal down forward, and it really released Charlie Dixon, who I thought was great too. But Jack Watts was just so potent. That's one way to describe this. He was potent down there. I mean, he got a kick 5 yesterday. That's how good he was. His first goal of the game was a big snap inside the 20-metre mark, and he was just phenomenal. Just his skills around the footy and also his pressure really brings another dynamic to this game and to our game as well, which is something we're going to need going forward into the season. So the new recruits fired, and so did our exciting fast play. We were 76% efficient across the board with our skills and in possession as well. So that transition footy I was talking about really came into effect on a couple of times. We do need to tighten up in our defence a little bit, I think. Yesterday we had a couple of goals go out the back, which we were known for a couple of years ago, and it's just sneaking back in a little bit now, as it did last year against the better teams. So we just need to tighten that up a bit, but our defence was superb yesterday and really helped our transition footy be excellent to watch. And it was 2014 like, to be honest. The best play of the day was coming out of the half-back line, and you had players linking up, and then you had Darcy Byrne-Jones hit the middle, and he speared a pass to Charlie Dixon, which was just phenomenal. Charlie converted, which he did pretty good yesterday, and he kicked a goal, but he could have had 3 or 4 with his 1 goal, 3 for the day. And that's the other thing as well, goal kicking was okay yesterday. It was a bit windy, but I think, you know, that bit of wind may have affected that. 16 goals, 14 is not too bad. We got the win, it didn't cost us the game, so it's not so much a negative in this type of game, but if it was against a better team, you might think otherwise. But for now, we'll take that win. Our whole team fired. There wasn't really a lot of players that really didn't do much. I thought everyone contributed equally. They all did their own role, and they performed really well. A couple of players may have underperformed a little bit, been a bit quiet, but they still did their job, and there's nothing to complain about. Well done by the boys. Players that did fire, now this is something that I really liked. These types of players were not the stars you usually see in our best. And without Robbie Gray, these players stood up. Justin Westhoff, for me, equal BOG with the next bloke, Riley Bonner. Fantastic across the half-back line. Westhoff, when Paddy Ryder went down with injury, went into the ruck, and he was superb in the middle. He was getting clearances, he was transition footy as well, he was all over the place, playing his Westhoff role, and if he does that consistently, he's going to be a more important player than others think. And when fans were starting to say, look, he shouldn't be part of this team anymore, he's too old, time to move him on, you're wrong, because yesterday he proves that he's still got it. And he's the oldest bloke on the team, 31 years old, and he's doing that kind of stuff. 25 possessions as well, 9 marks and 9 tackles as a tall bloke. That's sensational. Good pressure by Justin Westhoff. Riley Bonner had 31 possessions, had 6 marks across the half-back flank, 660 metres gained as well with his perfect left foot kick. Oh, that is a good left footer. And I really love the combination of him and Hartlett across that half-back flank. Right left footer combination really complements each other, and they were both superb yesterday. Hartlett was another one, as I've just said, was fantastic to watch. He was a real leader down there, putting the pressure on. His 20 odd possessions as well, doing his standard Hartlett stuff, and across that half-back flank, he looks really at home. Another one that was superb was the skipper, Travis Boak. He was great again yesterday. He had 26 possessions and kicked a crucial goal in that first quarter to really settle the team. And his pressure around the ground was as good as I've seen him do it for a couple of years now. And he just looked at home in that half-forward flank, down the middle as well. He was roaming about across the contest. And he just really looked at home, which is good to see for a skipper, especially after last year. He looked a bit confused as to where he was playing. But now, starting off at the half-forward flank, he's going to roam into the midfield a bit, roam outside, and help down forward as well, which is good. Fantastic to see. The other positive I want to touch on is Stu Howard. 22 spoils is the 22 spoils. It's a record spoil count in an AFL game, and he's only in his fourth season. Take that into consideration. The other one quickly I want to touch on is Todd Marshall as well. After a very tough off-season, obviously losing his mother, he is now cemented his spot for the next couple of weeks. I reckon 4 goals yesterday, the highest scoring player on the ground for Port. Wow. Obviously with Paddy going down, and I'm going to touch on that in a minute, I think he's got a spot in the 450 permanently until Paddy will come back. That's great. That's phenomenal. Well done, Todd Marshall. 4 goals. He was exceptional in that second half when he got more time on the field. And if he does that week in, week out, we've found a new forward. Alright, moving on to the negatives now. Quickly go through these. There's not a lot really. Efficiency inside forward 50%, 31 shots from 62 entries inside. That could be improved on a bit more. It was a bit scrappy for the first game of the year, but it will improve a bit. I reckon that they're focusing on that, the boys, and I reckon they'll fix that up in due time. Obviously against Sydney next week, you might have to be a little bit more efficient, but I'll take 50% nonetheless. 38,000 crowd, a little disappointing for round 1. I know the time slot was awful. The weather was even worse. It was bloody hot yesterday. And I think, you know, it was just an awkward time. And Fremantle never pulls at Adelaide Oval anyway, so that's okay. I can accept that. A little bit disappointing though. I thought, you know, the new recruits in round 1, it would have been a little bit more, maybe hit the 40, but that's okay. We'll wait for Brisbane in a couple of weeks and maybe we'll hit 40 then. The last thing, which is the most important thing, the most important negative is Paddy Wright's injury. Achilles, it looks like. I'm hoping it's not that serious, but from what I'm hearing, could be a bit of time. So hopefully no more than a month, maybe 6 weeks max. Let's hope it's no more than that. Anything more, then it's going to be pushing whether or not we, does it really hurt our season? And I think it will. He's the most important player on our team. You know, we've got to consider these options as well. Westhoff looked really good in the ruck when Paddy went down. Do we bring in Billy Frampton, or do we have Dougal Howard go into the ruck, which he was playing beforehand before he went down back, and have Homch come into the side and we just restructure our defence a little bit? I'd probably go with the first one, Justin Westhoff. He looked great in the ruck yesterday, and we played quite well to a losing ruck contest. So if Westhoff can get in the middle and, you know, rotate with Charlie, maybe Jack Watts goes in there a couple of stages in the game, it might work, and we might have a solution to replace Paddy. But I think if you're going to do it, you have to bring in a set ruckman. I reckon Billy Frampton might get his go, but that's up to the coaches, and I think you might go with one less tool, especially with Marshall inside. Moving on to the votes now, we have 5 votes to give. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for a win, 3, 2, 1 for a loss, because there's so much more performers in a game like that. So, number 1 vote goes to Stephen Motlop, 19 possessions and 2 goals, exceptional. He was electrifying on the Adelaide Oval, and I think the fans have a new favourite. certainly a good game by him. Hamish Hartlett gets 2 votes from me. He was the general down halfback yesterday, along with Bonner, but he had 23 possessions, 7 marks, and his pressure through the middle and across halfback line. He was really directing players, and he looked at home at the halfback flank. 3 votes goes to the skipper, Travis Boak, 26 possessions and a goal. He was superb down forward, and especially across the whole day, he was just pressurising, he was tackling, he was just getting on the forefront and really presenting another option down forward, which is going to be great, especially when you already have Robbie Gray, Chad Wingard, Sammy Gray down there, and now you've got Travis Boak as well. It's going to be a good forward line. 4 votes goes to Justin Westhoff, 25 possessions, 9 marks and 9 tackles, and went into the ruck as well to replace Paddy Ryder. He was sensational yesterday. He was everywhere, and it was really good to see Westhoff get around the ball and perform really well, because sometimes doubters are wrong, and Westhoff proved them wrong yesterday. 5 votes goes to the kid on the halfback flank, the left footer with only 1% efficiency, I'm pretty sure. Riley Bonner, 31 possessions. He was electrifying yesterday, and he was BOG for me. 6 marks across the halfback flank, really set ourselves up. And as I said before, 660 metres gained for a halfback flanker. Bloody brilliant. So they're the votes for round 1. And that's it, Port fans. That ends this round 1 review of Port Adelaide versus Fremantle. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe for plenty more Port Adelaide content. Next week we've got the Swans at the SCG for Easter Sunday, 4:40 it will be. Tune in, have a couple of eggs, and hopefully watch the Power win. Let's hope all goes well for Paddy Ryder. And that's about it. Tune into the Porters podcast on 8 PM Wednesdays, where we'll be dissecting this round 1 game and previewing round 2. Thank you very much for watching, Port fans. As always, my name is Anthony, and come on, pair.